Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are watching from today. Today is a very special day, a very special show, as we are going into a special week here in the United States. We call it Thanksgiving. So, this show, I've invited a few of my friends, wink, wink, to join me and talk about being grateful, thankful, and of course, fabulous. So let's get to it. As we have some fun and have some real talk today, we're going to be talking with these individuals that are here. I believe that we've got the kind of people that are you're going to be able to relate to, that their lives, their stories are ones that you're going to say, okay, yeah, I hear you. I get that. Or, boy, I'm so glad you said that because, yeah, I'm feeling it. And I thought I was the only one. Well, today I think you're going to feel that and understand that you are not the only one. And yet we can be grateful, thankful, and fabulous. So, the whole panel today, to my left, we have Lynda Sunshine West, who is a book publisher. Yet I know her because I first met her because we used to run into each other down in the SoCal area. And then we actually ran against time together in the Impactor. It was a great experience. And then some other very special moments that we shared, which my panel doesn't know. They actually cross over. We're going to talk about that soon. There's going to be some kind of like, oh, you're kidding, and surprise moments here. I love it. And then next to Lynda, we have Brett. Brett, many of the buddies will recognize. Brett's growing up. Brett started with us, well, let's just say went in the teens, wink, wink. And now I even noticed some like facial hair going on and stuff. But we still see those dimples. Brett was one of the very first volunteers within our buddies network, and we met at an environment, and he was at helping with a radio station in local marketplace, and said, wow, are you doing something with people that have been affected by cancer? Let's talk. So we did. More on Brett here in a little bit. Next, we have Davey right there. Davey, amazing man that is working to help make a difference for other men and families. And I've gotten to know him through, I love the internet. We have so many amazing things that we can do in the internet. And I know one of his partners. We shared stages before, and Davey is making a difference and showing how men and families can step up to the plate and help our generation, next generation that's showing up, and the generation that is called dad and grandpa and such. I love the program that he's got. Next to Davey, we've got, many know her because she is the laughing yoga queen, Barbara Palmer. To the buddies, fondly know her because she's come in and helped us to learn to laugh and to meditate and be healthy doing that, even when you don't want to. And next to Barbara is Kim. Kim O'Neill has been around many of the buddies. Many of all of us know she's helped co-host Tour of Love. She's been a co-host Service Heroes. She's been into the community. She has her own show. Many follow her, many love her. And she's also she created the commercial for Service Heroes. Little side note, I don't think many people know that. Then we have many of you that are showing up. I want to welcome all of you that are here. Helene, thank you for being here, and thank you for recognizing everyone. And Caroline Brown, who is our production coordinator, thank you. I want to start with this. You guys know I would, so I'm going to. Number one, Davey, we need to say something to you. It's your anniversary today, right?
Yes, it is. 13 years to my amazingly beautiful, stubborn, patient, amazing wife. Thank you very much. That was too cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Too cool.
Well, thank you. And so I'm going to start with you because today's the actual anniversary, but you guys went and celebrated it last night. And your platform is one that I love because you're out there celebrating and being real, right? With those that need to hear a message because too many have given up on their role. Why don't we go a little bit into that and how we can be grateful and thankful and what it is that you're doing?
Yeah. So, as you alluded to in the introduction, firstly, I just want to thank you for allowing me to be part of this. Amazing people here. And yes, Brett is I have to keep looking away because he's just too fun to look at. Um, Chris Salem is my business partner with our nonprofit Empowered Fathers in Action, which is basically my seashore platform on the for-profit side and Chris's work. But as you alluded to, Thanksgiving, this is a very powerful time here in the States. But I believe that gratitude is something we can all exercise on the daily. And gratitude boils down to something very simple that we often forget. No matter what your situation is, no matter where you are in life or your business, gratitude, just like many other things, confidence is a choice. And it's not easy to be grateful sometimes when you feel like you're out in drowning water. But if you can simply, for analogy's sake, kind of turn yourself around, like what I've got behind me, and put yourself back at the shoreline to really embrace your perspective. And see, people mistake gratitude as a perception, what they perceive visually. But it's really our perspective that allows us to make educated choices on what we can control in situations. And that's what we focus on with our nonprofit. That's what I focus on the for-profit side. And I believe that being who we are is more than enough. And I am who I am. Sometimes I'm very aggressive. Sometimes I'm a little bit more laid back. I am exactly what I need to be, but I'm grateful and thankful for that opportunity. So I think that's something that I really want everybody that watches this to be cognizant of, that, yeah, we all have things to be grateful for. There's things that we don't have to be grateful for. But using the right perspective is a choice, and empowering that choice will attract the results that every single person that watches this and beyond absolutely deserves.
Wow. I hope you guys have your pen ready to take and what's nice about the fact that this show can later you can come back and you can say, wow, I want to listen to that again and dive deeper. I want to write down because there were so many pearls of wisdoms, so many golden nuggets there and what was just shared. I want to thank you. And in fact, I'm right now, I'm kind of bullet pointing around so everybody kind of gets an idea of who's here right now. Davey, you mentioned Brett and everything. I'm going to go to Brett next because of the fact that I have something that I want to share, and and you guys are going to be ready. I told you, be ready to take notes, be ready to listen to song, be ready with a tissue. This is a tissue moment. Be ready.
Hi, I'm Brett. When I was 15, I was able to be given a Make-A-Wish. This was an important moment because not only had I just gone through a very tough year of going through chemo, but it was also very strenuous on my family. And for my wish, they were able to take me and my entire family, my mom, my two sisters, and I, to Florida. And we were able to go play with monkeys. We went to a water park. We stayed at a hotel on the beach. We were able to really reconnect as a family. And I think this was something that we needed to be able to kind of let go of everything that had just happened to all of us and kind of regroup as a family and be able to start life brand new. This is really hard because today I learned that Frank had passed away. I was given the opportunity to meet Frank, and in the short time that I got to meet him, he was very welcoming, very kind, and you could tell he's a very strong man, strong-willed. and his movie shows just that. He's changed so many lives, and he's been able to help give back to a whole bunch of families that have gone through the end of the world and come back. He really did some good here on Earth, and I'm really heartbroken to hear that he's gone, but I'm really glad for the time that I got to meet him, and I don't really know, to be honest. It really was a great experience to be able to meet the man that is the reason why my family got to go and have that amazing experience together. So, thank you, Frank, and I hope you're having a great time in heaven.
Powerful. And Brett, you have been there with me since the beginning. And when I said that you were at this fair, city fair, and you were at the radio station and you said, hey, you know, I can relate, it was because of the fact that you could relate because you were a survivor of childhood cancer, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
And then when we went to that event and you were able to meet Frank, that was like such a huge experience. It was almost like, wow, a rock star for someone that had been through the experience that you had been through.
Definitely. Yeah. He is responsible for just allowing everybody to be able, families that have gone through such a hard time together, to be able to kind of escape their life for a few days and just go and experience something positive in their life. And it honestly is a very good way to kind of set yourself back on track to get back into the normal routine, at least for me, because I was done with treatment by the time I was able to go. A lot of kids, I think they're able to go while they're in treatment, but I was told I couldn't. So at least for me, it was a good reset for me and my family to be able to like go and kind of just restart and get away from all that.
And you have restarted in so many amazing ways. I mean, you, when we started working together, I remember I was so excited, and we have film about this somewhere, that you wanted to go into radio, but you're now doing TV, right?
I am, yeah. That was a big shift, and a lot of the reason why, and it's interesting because I feel like a lot of your fabulous stuff, like the whole thing about this, I feel like it all comes back to confidence. And a lot of the reason why I was going into radio was because of my lack of confidence. I was able to hide, and I could still use my voice, but I didn't have to be seen. And then I think over the last few years, my confidence has come out a bit more. And so I was finally able to give it a shot to go in front of the camera, and I'm doing okay.
You're doing great. I am so excited. And you know, part of this being grateful and thankful and fabulous also, and we're going to go to Lynda next, I'm sure she already knew that, that when we have people that have come into our lives, each of you into mine, Frank into ours, and into the world, and when we start really looking at it in that way, you know, we may not always have an amazing day, or maybe even an amazing year. It might be tough in one way or another. But when we can understand that, you know, for those of you that don't know who we're talking about, we're going to be letting you know with Lynda, we're going to talk a little deeper about that. However, the Make-A-Wish Foundation and is not now only for those that are kids and such. You know, it's a bigger platform, and many of you that follow this show may not be aware of that. And I wanted that to be one of the thankful and grateful elements that we're sharing with all of you today, that there's these fabulous programs out there that are waiting to say, okay, we're here for you. You may have a rough day, but let's go have some fun with some monkeys, right?
Definitely.
right? So, Brett, thank you for letting me share. I love you, and we've been through so much together. And thank you for filming that when you did and being so real. Because I remember he didn't know, and I got a hold of him and I told him, and we had this experience together. And so I asked him, would you be open to it? He said, yeah, I would. So he did this. And it wasn't necessarily easy. However, it was because of out of love. And that's oftentimes where we show up too. So thank you, Brett. Thank you for that. Lynda, I keep referencing it. And you worked with Frank Shankwitz. You worked with everybody because you were one of the producers of the show, correct?
Yeah, one of the executive producers of the movie Wishman. And, it's interesting because as Brett was talking, it reminded me of that very first day that I met Frank, and he was speaking on stage and I was sitting in the audience and I was just sitting there the whole time listening to him, just in awe of this giant that stood in front of me, And then the next day I was like, I'm going to go talk to him. I'm going to invite him to speak at my event, which I did. And that's what started a friendship. And that friendship led to one thing I've interviewed him countless times. I don't even know how many times. And, but when I had that opportunity to become an executive producer of the film, there was without a question that I want to be part of that, and I'm so glad I did, because it really it even cemented our relationship even, closer and tighter. And, he was an absolutely incredible man. And one thing he said on that stage that really shifted something for me is at the very, very end of his talk, he said, if I can do it, everybody can be a hero. And that was big for me because I saw myself as this small person who had no value, very insignificant in this world. And when Frank said that, I remember saying to myself, I can be a hero? Like, I really questioned myself, and I just started on this path, and he really inspired me to start, like, looking at myself to see, who am I? Like when Brett was talking about, the being able to be behind the scenes. Like, I never wanted to do any of this stuff. I was terrified people would actually hear me. Like, I didn't even want to do radio because people would hear me. But like what I'm doing today, really a lot of that stemmed from Frank saying that one simple phrase. And so gratitude really comes in the form of so many different things, right? It comes outward, it comes from inside, it comes from so many different areas. And sometimes all it takes is one small phrase to shift us into higher gear, to living our purpose. Like, what are we here for? What are we doing while we're here? Are we living our purpose? And if not, why not? And what is it that we need to bring into our lives that we can live on purpose instead of on accident? And I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be here. So thanks so much, Tamara. I know I went on a little bit longer than probably.
No, it's perfect, because actually, truthfully, you're leading right into my next person too.
Awesome.
In that, it's a matter of also, and everybody that's listening to this or watching it right now, I really want you to put this question in your heart as you're listening to these amazing friends of mine. And that is, okay, so I'm struggling right now. Why am I struggling? What is it that is the struggle? Is it because I'm not feeling well? Is it because of whatever circumstance it may be? And so then, as you're looking at that, then you're looking at it, okay, wait a minute. What was just said right now? What life did we just learn about? Go watch the Wishman movie that Lynda just was talking about, being an executive producer, and that Brett got to meet, and I got to meet, and he actually was a mentor. Frank was a mentor, meant so much to me. And when you look at that life, that story, that one person, and there's so many, but that one person, and think, okay, I'm struggling right now, yet, wow, it puts it into perspective. And then you can be grateful, right?
Yeah, Tamara, I wanted to share something because this morning, because you just said you ask a question. This morning I was at church and this was a question that came up and I was like, whoa, this is so amazing. So I'm going to give this to the audience as a potential question to ask when you are going through a storm. And that's just to ask God, is there anything you want to say to me? Ask him. Oh my gosh, that was like, that's my new mantra for the rest of my life. Is there anything you want to say to me? Yeah.
I love that. In fact, thank you. That was meant to be said. Thank you. So we're going to go to Kim O'Neill next. And before we do, I actually am going to play something, and then we're going to go on.
Every day can be a new day, regardless of what's happening around you, when you know and fully embrace how amazing you have always been.
Hi, my name's Kim O'Neill.
I help heart-centered professionals who are amazing at what they do be able to confidently and authentically express that about themselves in interviews and everyday life. I support the Chemo Buddies for Life mission as they uplift and help each other in moving through and beyond cancer. It's a big world out there, and it's waiting just for you. Every day is a new day, and it's your time to rise and shine.
I absolutely love that. You're so creative and so amazing, and your voice, wow. And you bring people in, and you help so many people, and many of the buddies, like you said, the mission. And I really I'm feeling inspired to just continue this discussion and let you go forward.
There are words that are really popping out to me. There are words that popped out before we started this conversation, but of course, as we've already been all sharing and speaking, and I guess I will just start with, it is the word connection. And so I think initially when we think about connection, we think about connection with each other, and absolutely, I mean that. And as an extension of that, I think when we think about gratitude and like what my aim has been with the Every Day is a New Day show, hope has been a very big theme about it, about there's always hope, regardless of what yesterday has felt like, there's always the hope and the promise. Well, there's hope of a new day. There's always hope that will never go away, always hope. And so with that, when people are in these spaces of feeling like, oh no, I don't know if I can get through today, things are really tough and challenging, that tends to bring a person to this space of recognizing that there's something more in life. And I don't have to define what that is for everyone, because everyone gets to decide what that is for themselves, but there's something more. And what is that connecting to? Is it connecting to, it connects for a lot of people, there's, it's spirituality. It can be religion. It can be simply knowing yourself on a deeper, grander level, knowing that there's so much more. And so I bring that into the equation because the words that were showing up for me, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but I'll just touch on these things in case they're little nuggets for anybody, is the words that were showing up before we started today's conversation are acceptance and decision. And so no one has to accept or decide on anything that they're not ready to. But when we talk about gratitude and why it's so beneficial, it's because of the emotion. It's because of really feeling into it. Because when we feel into those things, then it can generate more. We can receive more. It can help us lift us out of those really hard, deep, dark, challenging, awful spaces. But if there are things that we are holding on to in our lives, and I think I'm number one, I can say right now, God, there was something that I was recently holding on to, and it's like, oh, I was able to make a decision and release it. And when we accept what has been, when we make the decision to say, you know what, I'm no longer, whatever it might be, I'm no longer going to think about this thing. I'm no longer going to be worried about this or whatever it might be. I'm no longer what. When we can release that, we open up the space to be able to feel more of that gratitude, to be able to feel more of that connection, that love, the appreciation and connection with other people. It just opens up all of that space. So that's what that's what was coming up for me as we were coming into today's conversation. Is it's such a pivotal moment to accept what has been, make a decision, because we open up space to something so much more that is beautiful and can feel really good.
Wow. And I think knowing what I know here of everyone, that is not always an easy thing to do. It is really, I mean, we can say it and we can even have a true intention, and then life happens and it's like, okay. And it's almost like, and I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but it's like, okay, I have the best of intention now. I prepared everything for it. And then, and it's like, okay, what are you trying to get my attention? You got it. Right.
Yeah.
And so then it's not always easy, right?
It's not. And I think a lot of this, and that's why I say this is a much bigger conversation. We're just like truncating it down to a few minutes here. I think a lot of this happens in phases for people. And I think it needs to be said for anybody who can really identify with this right now is don't shame yourself or make yourself wrong for whatever's still left over. Celebrate for what you've already been able to accomplish, overcome, release, move beyond, whatever it might be. You're amazing. And we are all in process, all of us. So it's not about, eating the whole elephant at once. It's about what's that little piece I can do right now. That is good enough. That is awesome for right now. Because opening it, when we have that open space for more, that allows us to feel that greater connection. I'm going to start with ourselves. Because it all starts with ourselves. When we have that greater connection with ourselves, then we're able to have easier connections with others, and just things can flow so much more easily. And so, I think the world has been in this space of what am I ready to release right now? And, it's a perfect opportunity to then open up to more gratitude. So I'll leave it at that.
And and a perfect lead into Barbara. I mean, you couldn't have led it more perfectly. Before we go there, I of course have a clip that I want to share.
Hello, everybody. Barbara Palmer, courageous diva, here to give you a dose of some medicine this morning. Some laughter yoga medicine. So for those of you who do not know what laughter yoga is, it's a group exercise where we're just going to laugh for no reason at all. We're going to do a little deep breathing and some meditation. Before we get started, I just want to say, if you pee in your pants or hurt yourself, you may want to go grab some water.
I had to do it.
Okay, Tamara.
And that was from the public side, guys. And so I had full permission because we filmed that. Can you believe it was 2 years ago on Thanksgiving morning? We got together and we filmed that clip along with, and Kim was there and so many others from around the world that got together to perform we are the ones to change the world. We are the ones to change the world with our hearts, and the theme song, if you will, for the Tour of Love for that 36-hour event. And then some of us stayed and we did laughter yoga with Barbara, and we filmed it and we had an amazing time. And Barbara, I really want to dive now into this because you've come in and we had a standing, if you will, appointment in with the buddies in our chat. Every month we would get together and rain or shine, and we would do laughter yoga. We would learn what it was all about. We'd do the meditation. We would do it all. You would send over the information and the music, and there's a lot to it, a lot of prep and such. And I've learned so much. And it always seemed to be that I would hear these words from your mouth oftentimes. It's like, I needed that more than someone else might have needed it, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, first of all, before I get started, I just want to thank Kim for all of your nuggets. Girl, you were talking directly to me. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Fortunately for me, Tamara, I always laughed. I knew the importance of laughter at a very, very, very young age. And when I was first diagnosed with cancer, well, it really isn't funny when you can't eat, which is what I absolutely love to do. You're so sick, you don't want to get out the bed. But yet, when I was going through that journey, I realized to help me get through it, I was going to have to laugh. And I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but I had an opportunity to attend a laughter yoga session. And I said, oh my goodness, that's something something I want to do. So I actually took a certification for it. And, we all need laughter so much more now than ever, ever, ever before. And when you have to learn to laugh at yourself as well. Laugh at yourself. Just just laugh, and it will always make you feel better. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity to come into your group to do that laughter yoga, and I have to find my way back to that.
Well, we're going to get that going again. And that's a great segue in that. In fact, many people know I was gone for a while, and I'm running for this big competition. And truthfully, it is to get everything back up and going, guys. So yes, I'm going to put it out there. Today is a big day that we need votes for this, because we want to get our programs back up and going, and we want to get the buddy community back up and going. And it does require some, it requires organization and funds and, even little fees and such things like this. It's crazy. What anybody that has a business understands this. And so instead of doing the 36-hour event like we've done before to raise awareness and funds, I decided to run for the did that be already, to run for the Fab Over 40. And I'm seeing here action takers. We have a video that she's just put in. Oh, was that something that you wanted to do?
Well, it's just you were playing commercials, so I thought, well, shoot, let's play my commercial too.
Oh, I got it.
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, well, we'll do that. Yes, we shared Kim's because it was part of the buddies and part of it. Yet, we will, because actually, you're going to be sharing our message here, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Back to the Fab Over 40. The bottom line is this, guys. Yes, I am being a little bit of a yes, vote for me kind of situation, but it's not for me. It's really for, and I loaded a new video that was created slightly before I had to step away for a few minutes, from Skip Thomas, who does our videos. He's an Emmy Award winning documentary filmmaker, and we're lucky that he is on the board of directors for the nonprofit. And he created this slightly before I ended up having to take some time. So it hasn't been shared on any of the shows yet. So here we go.
There is one word we have all heard too often: cancer. It touches everyone. It touched me. And even with the best of medical care and family and friends who cared, I felt very alone in my journey, because few could relate to what I was really going through. Today, there is that missing piece to the puzzle: CB4L, a global community of survivors who buddy up with fellow patients and survivors who are all healing through connections. The CB4L intention is that no one does cancer alone. Their mission?
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
Changing the world one buddy at a time.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us.
Join us, become a member, support us. It's easy and the membership is free. Go to cb4l.org.
So that's what everything I do, guys, it goes back to that. And that is a way to share with the world that I am grateful and thankful and fabulous for being alive, because of all the people that have made that happen. And so the idea right now, and I want to go into this, and we have Mikey Adam Cohen that is saying Lynda Sunshine West is in the house, and so glad that everybody is here. Now what I want to do is I do want to kind of switch gears a bit and bring up the vibration, because we can. And I would love, because it's, and what we do, it's humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love. So kind of going around the horn. What is the funniest thing that ever happened in your world, your life, your experience at Thanksgiving? Since we're going into the family history, or the family experience. And I'll tell you, I'll start on this one. I don't usually, but I had this little Aunt Gladys. Everybody had an Aunt Gladys, I'm sure. And she was also my godmother, and she was all of maybe 4'6", little tiny thing, but she ruled the roost. I mean, she was okay. She walked around in her little baby shoes because she had to get children's shoes because they didn't make adult shoes that fit her feet. So she'd walk around in her little shoes and she'd be like, okay, yeah. And she'd be running everything and she would make sure everything got ready. And at Thanksgiving, oh my goodness, she had it down. We knew exactly what was going to go on. She'd have her little wooden stick or little wooden spoon. So if you didn't do it right, okay, she wouldn't necessarily get you, but you just knew to stay in line. Yet, her husband or their half was, yes, a Navy man. So think of Popeye the Sailor Man. Those were the two that would have us over to Thanksgiving all the time. So, and I think of Thanksgiving, I think of my Aunt Gladys, my Uncle Irv, and I'm so grateful to have had so many fun times with them. What memories. And so, just raise your hand or speak, let me know who has something that you guys want to share. Anybody? Kim.
I can't think of anything specific that's funny, but two things come to mind on this topic is that my family's constantly cracking jokes, like puns left and right, dad jokes. I mean, that's just like the whole conversation is dad jokes. And it's funny, it's hilarious, and they're loud, and I love it. And that's what I think of when I think of family time. Another time, and this isn't really funny, but it's kind of ironic, is I remember Thanksgiving one year. Thanksgiving's all about the food, right? How much food can we make and eat and all that. And I had the flu. I couldn't eat any of it. It's like, okay, well, there goes that holiday. Anyway.
Well, and life has a funny way of showing up for something like that. Anybody else have anything funny that they want to share? Okay, go ahead, Davey.
So this is kind of somber and funny all at the same time. This is actually going to be my family's first Thanksgiving without my mom. My mom, unfortunately, did not win the war with cancer. So this is our first one. So one of my younger brothers decided he's doing the menu and sent my other brothers and I the menu. And we're not going up, but I looked at this menu and I said, where did you get this menu from? And he said, it's a lot of what mom did. There are two things on that menu that my mother did: turkey and stuffing. Everything else, I'm not sure. But I said, I'm not even going home because I don't want to be in the house where my mother's cremated body is with whatever this tropical menu is that my brother's approaching. And my dad, when I asked him, like, what do you think of the menu? He said, I don't even know what any of this food is. Like, I think it's Indian cuisine or something like that. It's not. It's things that my mom just would never in a million years try to pull off on Thanksgiving. So God bless my brothers for giving their first attempt at our first Thanksgiving without my mom. I'm doing exactly what she would expect me to do as the oldest and smartest, and that is stay as far away from that situation as humanly possible.
That's good. And, and thank you because, I was going to segue into the heart of things, the humor, hope and heart. And if you guys want to share something in the humor, great. However, the hope and heart also, in that this is a family time. And, it's really interesting that many of us do have family members that end up passing, and when they pass, and sometimes around a holiday. And when they do pass, or it's that first holiday, it can be kind of that tougher situation. And I'm going to add, or if you're feeling really ill because of something, that can also change the whole dynamic. So, taking that into consideration, is there anything else that someone would like to share in this particular topic?
Well, I'll share something. It might be like Davey was mentioning, somber. It's interesting because as you asked that question, I was like, oh God, I hope she doesn't call on me. That was my first thought, is because I grew up in a very volatile, abusive, alcoholic household. Holidays were not a pleasant time in our house. Right. So as I'm hearing you guys all speak, I'm thinking, was there a time that I can really look back and I can say, yes, I remember something that was good on a Thanksgiving? And one thing I do remember is that we would have Thanksgiving dinner. My mom was an amazing cook, so that was always a great thing. So I don't cook Thanksgiving. We actually go somewhere else during Thanksgiving now because my mom has passed away. But we always did like board games. And there was this one board game back in the day. I don't know if it's even still out there. It's called Risk. Oh, yeah. And every time we would break out that board game Risk, boy, would hell hath no fury, like a sister scorn. And so there would always be some kind of like family drama that would come up because of that game. But remembering it, it's just like, it's like a fun memory because we just like really went at it. Like, it was fun. It was actually kind of fun, having that kind of game. So that's my share.
And thank you for sharing that because, I just had this discussion with someone last night and they were saying that they were not looking forward to Thanksgiving because of the fact they were going to be all alone. So it can be either that they're going to be alone or it can be that, it can be a stressful environment in your family. And so there's all of that goes along with it too. And that is part of being real about this. We can be funny and we can be, laughter. And there's those funny memories like my Aunt Gladys going around with her spoon. However, the years that it wasn't so much fun. Yeah. You remember that too. And there's also something that I want to bring up as we, because I want to be sensitive to the time, that not everybody going into the holidays is in a holiday mood because it's been tough recently. And sometimes you're pulling from every ounce of something that you've got and maybe even known for being more that positive person that can pull it together. And yet, are we always that person? Are there times that we have to pull it together too? And, is there someone that would like to speak up to that?
I will. Absolutely. I love that you, segueing into that, Tamara. I've spent many holidays with family and many holidays by myself. And this holiday is not with big family. It's just going to be me and one other relative. And I love that. I'm grateful for that. But those times when we are experiencing something different, I think there's two things that are really key and helpful. Is number one, I know I mentioned earlier, about acceptance, about accepting what is, right? We can't change certain things. And so accept whatever the emotions are. If there's grief, if there's anger, whatever the emotions are, right? Confusion, whatever it is, accept it for what it is. Allow yourself to feel it, move through that. And then the switch is, it can be so easy for us to stay stuck on thinking about what we don't have. It's like, oh, this year I don't have, lots of family, or I don't have it the way it used to be, or I don't have whatever it might be. And the flip to be able to really be appreciative is to look at, well, what do I do? What do I have? Like, I'm truly so grateful this year. I get to spend one-on-one time with my mom. That is going to be Thanksgiving and it's going to be beautiful. I'm really grateful for that. And if there's nobody else, it's like, how can you make this your own, right? It all starts with us. And if we are constantly needing other things, other people, then it will continue to feel like we can't find our way out. But when we can start to go, oh my God, but you know what? It's quiet here today. Or I get to eat tacos instead of, maybe something else you don't want to eat, or whatever it might be. There's always something. And so anyway, I will stop rambling, but I really feel like that's where the switch is. And we could always say, yes, I'd rather have, but if we don't have that, what can we be grateful for right now that we do have?
I would
love
like to
that.
say something.
Yeah, Barbara.
Tamara. First of all, Lynda, thank you for sharing about your family memories at Thanksgiving. But what we all need to realize, especially those that are watching as well, everybody do not have fond memories of holiday time.
Right.
We all do not. And it's for various reasons. And so we need to accept that. Maybe you grew up in a very large family. There's a lot of love and fun and all. We all didn't have that when we grew up. Accept people where they are. Respect the fact that they may not be so happy that the holidays are here. Because once again, Everybody is different. We just need to love and respect each other and just treat people well all year round.
Thank you for that. Lynda, you have something you want to share?
Yeah, I definitely like to speak on this topic because, having grown up in that very volatile environment, I had a lot of hate, disdain, disgust,
Mhm.
like all these negative emotions that I carried around with me for decades until I was about 51 years old. Well, about 2 years ago, I had this thought, like I was walking down the pier because I lived near the beach. I was walking down the pier and I thought, God, I remember when we used to come here, we'd go fishing and I just hated it so much. I hated it because my dad wanted to do it. Like everything about my dad, I just hated. Now, this is not a good way to live your life, right? And so I decided that day that I was going to go on a forgiveness journey and a gratitude journey. So what I did for the last 100 days of the year, this was 3 years ago, I guess. What I did is I would tell the story as I remembered it, the negative and all of that. And then I would turn it around and I would say, Dad, I forgive you for whatever that story was. And then here's where the clincher was. I would turn the story around into how I had gratitude for my dad for that situation. And I did this 100 days in a row. And so what I did is by the end of the year, I turned this man that I always saw as a monster. He's been gone for 12 years now, but I always saw him as a monster. And what I did is I turned him into a human being. And so, just a human being with flaws. And it's really interesting how we can turn the way we see somebody. We can totally flip it around, but it's up to us. I had to decide to do it. I had to decide to do it when I was ready, not when anybody else thought I needed to be ready. But it took until I was 50 something years old to do that. And I'm so glad that I went on that journey because I'm able to now, he was the worst person in my life. So now all the other people in my life are just that much better. So I just wanted to share that. And it was really, truly life altering.
Amazing. And Brett, are you looking to say something?
I was trying really hard to think of something, but I feel like my family's holidays, for Thanksgiving specifically, we don't really do much. We just get together and eat. I was like trying really hard to think of something that I remember, but I just don't remember Thanksgivings very well. Christmas,
Well,
I have comments on,
what
but
I wanted to say in regards to your family, though, and what I wanted to bring up for this is that Thanksgiving doesn't have to be just one day a year. And your mother and your sister and your whole family, when you had to be in the hospital for your treatment and living, and you were in, reason you couldn't go see monkeys like they were talking is because you had to be in solitary confinement because of the treatment that you were going through and everything. You had to get through that, and there were only certain, you couldn't see your friends or anything, and there was only certain people that could come in, and you had the kind of family that coordinated together through some tough times to find that thankfulness that you were alive and in a treatment situation in a hospital, yet you were alive in a treatment situation in a hospital. And it goes back to what Lynda was just sharing, the perspective of it. So it doesn't have to be just the one day of the year. It can be being grateful and thankful and fabulous all year round, correct?
definitely. And that is one thing that I'm extremely thankful for is my family. I'm grateful. My family's very small. It's just my grandparents, my sisters, and my mom, and my aunt. But I like the holidays because it's the time of the year where this little group gets together and we all just get to do activities together. Like again, like for instance, Thanksgiving we don't really do much. We get together and we eat, but Christmas is what I really like because in the most recent years, instead of giving gifts, we do games and we have like gift cards and we can win gift cards and stuff like that for the games. And so that's the kind of stuff that I look forward to for the holidays is the interaction with my family because I feel like a lot of the time during the year we get so caught up with life that we do like the occasional check-in, but it's not so interactive. And that's why I really like the holidays is because we get to actually be together and just enjoy each other's company.
Love it. And that's I want to now go to Davey because Davey, you are working with a lot of, if you will, like basically real talk and everything when it comes to, okay, guys, let's show up for our families. Let's be there. And that Truthfully, a lot of people know and some don't that, I came from many broken homes and all sorts of interesting backgrounds, and it wasn't always perfect. And I didn't always have a dad, or I didn't know which one it was, or at the time, it's like all that happening. And that can draw you away from the fun of a holiday. So as we're going into this, what would you like to say in regards to, words of wisdom, pearl, words of advice to those families, in particular men?
To remember again that it is a choice. There are so many people that fall victim to circumstance, right? And we cannot control the circumstance, but you're a victim of circumstance until you choose not to be a victim of circumstance and make your own educated choices on, like I said earlier, on what your perspective of a situation is going to be. And the holidays are like the hardest time. Now for me, I we had great holidays. I came from a great family. Like all my struggles were self-inflicted. I call it sin, self-inflicted nonsense. Now my partner Chris, on the other hand, his holidays growing up were not rainbows and sunshine. So, we can see it from two different lenses, but at the end of the day, it's not just the holidays, right? What are the holidays all about? Thanksgiving starts with gratitude, and then it goes into Christmas. Now, yes, Christmas is about giving gifts, but it's about giving. So for those that are not in a great state of mind, not in a great state of optimism, or not looking forward to holidays for whatever their reason, just remember that you deserve to give yourself the gift of not being the victim to the circumstance. And you deserve the opportunity to use the power within you to create your own circumstances. And what a powerful gift that can be. And to all of those men who don't have a dad, who don't have a mom, who may not have family, to remember that there are people. Family is not defined by blood. Family is defined by those people that align with your values, that align with your beliefs, and complement everything that you deserve and believe in. So this holiday, rather than worrying about what you're surrounded by, embrace what you've got surrounding in here. And if you do that, this year will be the year that your perspective changes from a negative one to a positive one. And make the choice to put yourself around family that understands that and respects that, because that's what you deserve.
I love that. Mic drop. Really, because right there, pearls of wisdom, like I told you guys, go back in and listen to everything that's been shared here. Okay, I've got only a few seconds for each one of you, but I'm going to go around the horn. What would you like to say as we go into the holiday season? Few moments, few seconds. Starting with you, Lynda.
Oh yeah, I'll just say that, remember to not only have gratitude outward, but also to have gratitude to yourself for all the things that you've gifted yourself, to change to change your perspective, and just go out there and live your best life.
Perfect. Brett?
Yeah, I think a lot of people get so caught up in the negativity of they don't have anybody that they'd like to spend it with. And I feel like it could also be a good point for like self-reflection. Go take a walk, go take a trip, a small trip, inexpensive, doesn't have to be expensive. Go do something that you enjoy, so that way you can feel renewed by the new year and hopefully have some reflective thoughts through all of it.
Perfect. Kim?
I will just reiterate a little bit of what I said earlier, and what the others were already saying is appreciation of self, appreciation for what you've already overcome, where you are today. How is this moment even better than wherever you were before? And really celebrating yourself for this now moment, the hard choices and decisions you're making, all of it. I'll end there.
Perfect. Barbara?
Thanksgiving is every day, and this is a really good time of the year to forgive anyone you are upset with, because chances are you don't even know why you're upset with them. So,
perfect.
Even if it's not your fault, say you're sorry.
I love it. Davey?
Give yourselves the opportunity to simplify your thought process so that you can amplify the gifts that will be returned to you in that.
Perfect. And with that, I'm going to say thank you all for being with us. Have a grateful, thankful, and fabulous week. We will be back, and we're going to be talking about books. I am also going to be getting Lynda back, and we're going to be talking about books with her again soon. So be watching for a couple more very interesting panels. With that, everyone, adieu. We're going to say goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for being with us.